full of filthy, so I got this, I'm winning. I'm not a quitter, so I'm not fucking quitting. Just try to stop me and you'll drop dead missing. I'm on my way to the top now, listen. I ain't never gonna stop too driven. I ain't never getting lost, got vision. I'ma make this shit hot, ignition. Yeah, don't give me facts, not fiction. Then you know I'm fucking listen, cause I'm on a fucking mission. Man, you got to be driven, cause this world is unforgiving. You're the only one that's winning, or the only one that's quitting. So get up and stay committed, don't be asking for permission. Hit the gas after ignition and start acting like you're winning. Make your own damn decisions, don't let others make you victims. Have a thought and have a vision, don't get caught up in the millions. Yeah, I'ma make this shit hot. Oh, I'ma light the shit up. Yeah, I'ma make this shit hot. Oh, I'ma light the shit up.
Hey guys, we're back in the shop again. Today we're going to do a compression test on the motor and get that thing out of there so we can do a leak down test and also fix that oil nozzle in there. I'm going to look at the rings and the cylinders and see if they need any replacing. Probably replace the rings in it. Before we get started, I just wanted to give you a quick shop tip. You saw me working on my diff here in the last video, and what I do is why don't you put some cardboard down on your benches. You guys get packages all the time in the mail. Put the cardboard down, you can see it's all full of oil. I can just pull this right off, throw a new piece on there, and it's nice and clean. I keep all my stuff organized. So let's get started. We're gonna do a compression test on the quad and start tearing into the motor. I got my spark plugs out. I'm gonna put this, got the front spark plug out, I got the rear spark plug out. I'm going to show you guys the compression, which this rear cylinder I didn't have problems with before. Let's see if I can do this. There. You want to cycle the quad about a dozen times. We're 150 psi. Alright, so we're on the front cylinder here. We're at 121 psi in the front cylinder. Alright, I'm going to pull the motor out of this. I'm going to put it in time lapse just so I don't have as much footage, but basically what I gotta do is I gotta pull the front diff, pull the front end off. I gotta pull the front diff out, cock it sideways. I got a motor mount down there. I got a motor mount up top. Disconnect the throttle body here. I got mounts for the transmission and the gearbox in the back here. And then there's 4 bolts. I gotta take the 4x4 actuator off. 4 bolts here that bolts the gearbox to the motor. I gotta pull this off, drain the antifreeze, gotta drain all the fluids out, oil, gearbox, disconnect all the connectors and fuel injectors, and then pull this brake off here. And basically on the other side, I gotta pull this exhaust off. I'm gonna pull the clutches off. That way you can separate the gearbox and the motor. And I think that's about it. So it's not really hard to do. It just takes a little bit of time. Probably have it out in about an hour or so. And there's a mount back here for the gearbox. So let's get after it and get this thing out. Alright, got the motor out. Took about an hour and a half. Didn't run into any problems really. The one thing I wish I did was I wish I took this rear prop shaft off. I couldn't get at it, the angle to get that bolt out of there, but everything came out pretty good. I gotta do a leak down test on this and figure out where I'm losing compression on this front cylinder. So alright, so we got the motor out here. My buddy actually came over and did a leak down test. Basically what you got to do is you got to put each cylinder at top dead center. You put some air in here and you see if the valves are leaking or if the rings are leaking. Basically you can just hear the air pouring out of it. So he actually came over and did that. I'm going to show the video here.
Watch the gauge and then you can feel it and listen. That's better. No, it's not. So, definitely got exhaust.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like exhaust in crankcase.
Oh yeah, a little bit out of there.
So that's your rings.
Okay.
Intake on this feels good. And your
Yeah.
exhaust is fucking pouring. So it's better, but it's still not good.
So it looks like this is the rear cylinder. The rear cylinder, the exhaust valves, or the intake and the exhaust valves aren't seating right, so they're leaking, losing a little compression there. This is my front cylinder that had 120 psi. We heard that the rings were leaking, so there was air coming up through the crankcase, and also the exhaust valves were leaking. So I'm gonna pull the motor apart here. I'm gonna put new rings, new pistons in it. I'm gonna take the heads off, and I'm gonna send them to DeRisi Racing. They're gonna put new valves in. They're gonna lap and seat the valves for the heads. I'm gonna send the cylinders out. I'm gonna get those honed out, put new pistons rings in, and also I gotta put the oil squirter that broke off in this for the rear cylinder. This is the oil squirter or oil nozzle that broke off that I'm gonna tear the motor apart to fix. It squirts oil up on I believe it's the rear piston in this motor to help cool the piston. It's a $30 part, and I got a new one right here. So I got to pull the whole motor apart and fix that along with the other stuff. So let's get after it.
Alright, so I got the heads off. I'm going to send these to Derisi Racing along with my shocks. He's going to rebuild my shocks. He's going to go and replace the valves on the heads and lap and seat those. So there's a lot of carbon buildup on these. My exhaust valves are the ones that are leaking. They look pretty shot in there, so he's going to get these all hooked up, get these all fixed up for me, and hopefully I have them back in a couple weeks. Alright guys, I'm down here by the motor. Looks like I got some good news, is I can get to this oil nozzle without splitting the cases on the motor. So you can see that oil nozzle right there. This one on the other side broke off. It's supposed to be right there, but it looks like I can get at that without splitting the cases apart, which I'm super stoked about. I already went ahead and removed the pistons and the piston pins here, and I can rotate the crank where I can get in here. The only thing is, it might be hard, is I have the right Torx bit here, but I'm gonna have to pull this out and actually use a wrench to get in there, because I can't actually get in there with a socket or with a ratchet to take that off. So I'm gonna have to take this all apart and we'll get at it. We'll get it out though. Nozzle in there went easier than I thought it was going to be. I put some rags in here to in case it falls, and then I also put this magnet in here in case that bolt fell off. It would the magnet would grab it right away. So and I got a Torx bit here, Torx bit. I found the right small wrench for it, and then I duct taped it up onto the wrench to make sure it didn't fall off the wrench. So that got in there and worked pretty good. Alright, so I got my old pistons here on the bench here. This is the old one here. I got my new pistons here, new rings, new piston pin, and I got my jugs honed out. And check out the well, you're probably not going to see it. Check out the ring gap in this. So this top ring is the old one, and that bottom one there is a new one. So check this out. My old ring gap was 0.80 millimeters. I think that was a rear cylinder. Front one is 0.95 millimeters. These new rings I got were 0.35 millimeters. So there's a huge difference there, and I was getting a lot of blow by from that. The specs are, I believe it's 0.20 millimeters to 0.40 millimeters, and the threshold when you need new rings is 0.70 millimeters. This is on the 1000 engine here, so getting a lot of blow by. There's a lot of ring gap there, so these new rings should help quite a bit with the compression, keeping it up. So I'm gonna put the new rings back on the pistons here. I'm gonna get the pistons in, and then I'm gonna put the jugs on, and then put the heads on here shortly. I want to show you. This is my where the throttle body is. I took my injectors out. I cleaned everything up here. This is your air temperature pressure sensor. This was a problem I was having last year. This got, you can kind of, oh, you can't really see it in there. That got oily from my oiled filter, and it was throwing my check engine light on and throwing my quad in the limp mode about 15 minutes after starting a race. So I was having problems with that. Finally figured that out. Make sure this is always clean. Pull it out halfway through the season, clean it out, or after every race, but make sure it's clean because it will throw your quad into limp mode. Got this all cleaned up. Got to get the motor back together, put pistons in, like I said, and get the heads back on and get this thing into the quad. Alright, got the motor all back together, got to bolt it to the, once I get the transmission fixed and go through that, I'll get it on the transmission. Got to fix the frame up here, get that all fixed up, and hopefully put everything back together here. So racing starts in just a couple weeks, 2 weeks I think. So gotta get everything fixed up, and I'll hopefully make it to round one. But hope you guys learned something. Hope you're enjoying the videos, and see you in the next one.